Welcome back, guys. This is I don't know what our YouTube channel is going to be called at this point.
Yeah. Anyway,
At the
we're at
time
the
you're
Palm
watching
Springs
this,
Film
we haven't made
Festival.
a
Yeah,
name
it's
yet.
fine. We're
So
at the Palm Springs Film Festival, and we're gonna be reviewing the movies that we've seen. So, anyway, we were on a roll of seeing 3 fantastic movies in a row, and
yeah,
I was like,
Better
"Damn,
Man, Don't Let's Go
to the dogs
to
tonight,"
the Dogs Tonight, and
and then
then
A Nice Indian Boy.
A Nice Indian Boy.
All
All
fantastic.
10 out of 10, 5 out of 5 movies.
Which I was not expecting going into this
No.
film festival. I thought I was gonna see a couple good movies and well-made movies. But
Yes,
as something I would
obviously.
actually like, I thought there was gonna be like one or two.
Yeah.
And then we started off with 3 in a row. I was like, damn,
Yeah.
this is gonna be great.
Yeah.
And then this morning happened.
And then we watched Unforgettable Audrey.
Which is an Australian comedy.
Ugh.
Um,
Which I would not recommend watching with your grandmothers.
no.
Because I did
Which
that.
he did, yep. I'm glad I was not sitting next to her. Although, you know what? She put up with it.
She did.
She was a trooper.
She was a trooper. It was
so I know that like other people or other countries have different comedy.
Yeah.
And like the director did a Q&A afterwards where she kind of talked about how
she pretty much said, "Suck it up, Buttercup."
The humor lands differently in different countries, and I get that, right? Like I've never understood British humor, but like British people love that shit.
Yeah.
Australian humor is different, and like she kind of mentioned like, oh, the British people get this joke, but they don't get this joke, and then you guys were getting this joke, but not this joke.
Yeah.
And like, I get it.
Mm-hmm.
That being said. I think there is like a standard level of like universally funny stuff.
Yeah.
And this did not do that well.
I feel like this movie was like if Adam Sandler made a Black Swan movie.
Yeah, I'm not
like a movie
totally
like
Black Swan, but yeah.
Because I feel like personal take, I don't love Black Swan because it feels like it's just like way over the top, you know?
Yeah.
And super over dramatified of like, oh my God, she's crazy. And now she's a bird. You know, it's like, what?
So true.
And then Adam Sandler movies are just sex and boobs.
Yeah.
That was that movie. That's where I make the connections.
Yeah. No, I just thought that like I understand that it was a dark comedy, and I'm not the type of person to be like, that was actually an inappropriate joke. Yeah. Like, and she was talking about like how hard it is to make a dark comedy these days because you never know when you went too far where you got canceled. And I get it, right? Like, I'm not trying to like come for anyone's right to be a comedian, whatever.
Yeah.
But like, a lot of the jokes went too far, and like I don't even mean that as in like I was offended. I mean that as in like it just didn't know when to stop because the joke was no longer funny.
Literally.
Like there's this whole subplot where like the dad is having an affair with like a Christian porn director,
but also a leader of an AA meeting.
Yeah.
So
and then they like hook up at the end, but then break up. And I was just like, what was the point of that?
And then they start having a threesome with his wife.
Yeah.
So that makes sense, obviously.
And it wasn't even that funny. The first time when it was like the shock value of Christian porn studio, I was like, okay, like that's funny because it's so like what the hell, like ridiculous. And then it just wasn't funny anymore because it was just the shock value.
Yeah.
And then like I feel like this whole movie was just like the shock value of something.
But then like, taken extra.
Oh my God, they just made a joke about a girl in a wheelchair.
Yeah.
And it's like I wasn't offended by the jokes about the girl in the wheelchair. Obviously she was there, she was taking part, she didn't have issues with it. And I didn't think anything went like entirely across the line.
Oh no, not at all.
But it was just it was only funny because they were making fun of a girl in a wheelchair.
Yeah.
The jokes themselves were not that funny.
No.
And half of the humor involving her character was, isn't it funny that we're letting people yell at her because she's in a wheelchair?
Yeah.
And after the first, like, maybe 2 jokes, that wore off.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, so are we going to use her, being in a wheelchair to any other useful thing, or is it just for that shock value? And it's like, yep, that was it. And then the director was like, oh yeah, but then like she got to be in the movie and she got like to like dance on stage, which she had never done before. And it's like, I agreed that is very sad that she with a disability has never danced on stage before. That's kind of sad. But don't portray your movie as, oh wow, weren't we so inclusive?
Yeah.
Like, she was like, yeah, we wrote the script to have a girl with cerebral palsy from the beginning. And it's like, gee, I wonder fucking why.
Yeah.
It's almost as if you needed the shock value of, isn't it funny that we're making fun of a girl with a disability in a wheelchair?
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't the
funny.
jokes. It
No.
wasn't the character. It was literally just the shock value of that.
Yeah.
And like, I just felt like the plot was not particularly funny.
It was a whole lot of nothing, really.
I thought that there was promise. Like, the plot was that like there's this family, it's the mom and the dad, and then 2 daughters. One is in a wheelchair, one is just like a brat. And then the brat like is like faking a suicide attempt off of their roof to like get attention, and then she accidentally falls and hits her head and goes into a coma. And then the joke is that, oh my god, their lives get better while the daughter's in a coma. So when she finally comes out, they're all like pissed off at her for having come back out of a coma. And it's like, I think that there's promise there. Like, that could be funny.
Sure.
Of like, oh, now they don't want her to come back out of the coma. Like, I can see that maybe being funny if it was done just right.
Yeah.
But this was just not done right.
Yeah.
It was just like, it kind of just felt gross. Like, I don't know. Like,
well,
the director was saying like, oh yeah, we wanted to have all that humor where like you're not sure if you should be laughing, and like by the end of the movie you're laughing at stuff you never thought you would have laughed at. And it's like, okay, like I get that,
but like also, why would I want to do that?
It was less, oh my god, I'm laughing at an offensive joke, and more, oh my god, I'm laughing at something that's not even funny.
Yeah. it kind of felt like closer to the middle to the end. I felt like I was watching like Speak No Evil, where I was just laughing because it was so awkward.
Yeah.
I was just like, this is awkward. I don't know what to do but laugh.
And especially because the director was in the room. She was like in the front row. And I'm way too nice of a person. I was like, yay, it was good. Voted 2 on my ballot, 2 out of 5.
Well, you were better than me. I gave her 1.
Yeah.
So.
I only gave it a 2 because I was sure I would see a worse movie at the festival at some point. So that's I was fair. Like, okay, we'll reserve the 1 for later.
That's fair, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know. It's like, it wasn't badly made from like a filmmaking perspective necessarily. And like,
besides
I thought
like some of the acting was
bad.
awful.
Some of it was purposefully bad.
Well, yes, but then there were some times where I couldn't tell if they were joking or if they were
actually bad.
Yeah, if they were either trying to be bad at acting or they were trying to like say a joke or actually being for real, and then the character they're talking to actually does something for real, and it goes into this whole scene of like, this is a for real thing. I'm like, that was like the most sarcastic way of saying anything, and you're like, that's the final shot. I
also thought that, so like, if a really good actor overacts on purpose, that can be really well done and really funny.
Yeah.
Where like their acting is so good that their character seems super normal, and then when they're overacting, it's like, and it needs to be well done and clever, where it's like, oh my god, wait, I can see that she's overacting, and it's like funny. This was like, aren't I overacting? And it's like, yeah, we get it. You're overacting. Like, we understand. Yes. Yeah.
That's also why it was Black Swan.
What?
I said that's why it's also like Black
No,
Swan.
I heard you. I'm confused.
Natalie Portman wasn't overacting in that movie.
I don't think so.
I feel like she was.
Okay, cool.
It was
I'm
a
not
little
understanding
excessive.
any of the Black Swan connections. I think we'll just have to move on from that.
I feel like Black Swan might have traumatized me, and anytime I think of like a movie that like it like spawns the idea of like Black Swan,
Okay.
and I'm just like, huh,
you know what? No, that's
scared.
fine. That's fine.
You know.
Anyway. Yeah, I don't know. And then like the ending just kind of got crazy where it had like a whole like horror movie element.
Yeah.
And I didn't understand the purpose of that because I didn't think it was funny.
It was not funny at all.
I didn't think it was a satisfying conclusion to the plot.
It was not satisfying at all. I thought it was gonna. I feel like it was just for the shock value, like you were saying.
Yeah, again, shock value again.
What you wouldn't expect from that type of movie. Yeah. Like that type of movie, you're like, oh, it's a loving family. They're gonna get back together at the end.
And then they're like trying to kill each other. Yeah. Literally. And it's like, okay, I don't think that suicide or murdering a teenager is like particularly funny.
No.
Especially the way that they did it. I was like, okay. I don't know. I just
yeah. No.
I feel like there was a way to make it funny and they just didn't. Yeah. And it's like I'm not trying to say that like the situation couldn't have been funny. It just wasn't funny.
Yeah. I also feel like there were too many vibrators in that movie. Like it's like vibrator.
Funny because it's
that was
sexual.
Hilarious.
You get it? Like at some point, if you have to resort to like an abundance of sexual jokes, you are desperate. Literally. I'm not saying that I have an issue with a sexual joke in an R-rated comedy. No. Like, whatever, right? Yeah. I've seen plenty that are like nicely timed and like in moderation and they're funny and like whatever. This was just like at one point literally every character was having sex like at the same time, I feel like. And I was like, what are we doing? Literally. Like this isn't funny. No. It's sex. Yeah. Like I think I'm not in middle school. No. So I don't giggle at sex. Literally. I was just like and vibrator. Like what? Literally. This is that's the level of humor that's in this movie. Yeah. Which is just sad. It's just like, okay. Yeah. Well, and like how long did they drag out trying to get humor out of the Christian porn? They had like 15 different scenes. I was like, we get it. It's the shock value of haha Christian porn. We get it. And also gay, but like but that was like a subplot and didn't matter. It was like okay. Yeah, the Christian porn was way more important than the gay father. It's just like it was just stupid. Like I feel like there's a couple of funny jokes at the start that like the audience was like, okay, that was kind of funny, right? And like I was trying so hard to like this movie. I was laughing at everything that I found funny. I swear to God. I was like, that was kind of clever, right? Like every like probably in the first like half an hour, I'd say like half the jokes landed. So I was like, okay, that was funny, yeah. And then by the end, I feel like both of us, because it kind of saw you out of the corner of my eye, I think both of us were just kind of like, like it was that kind of humor. It was of like, so bad. Now they have a vibrator. Yeah. For the fourth time. And it's like, it's not like the opening shot was a vibrator. Yeah. It's like, they hate their daughter so much. And then the daughter went viral for hating them back. And then they said something mean to the girl in the wheelchair, and it's funny because like they like they made a joke about a girl in a wheelchair. I know, it's funny.
No way.
It's just like, Jesus Christ, like how are we still doing this?
Literally.
Anyway.
Yeah, it was a lot.
Yeah.
I was like, yikes, afterwards.
Move on.
Well, it was funny too because I didn't even ask what you thought. I just like look over to you and you're like, I'm debating if it's a 1 or a 2. I'm like, it's a 1.
Well, and then I was like, well, but what if there's something worse? And you're like, I'll let the director talk, and then I'll give it a 2 if she convinces me. And
She did
Did
not.
she convince you? And he was like, no.
Because she was just defending herself. She was like, it was good
She was
because
like,
I'm not like the
jokes
other
don't
girls.
land because you're American. It's like,
I'm like,
she
fuck
was like,
you then.
She was like, remember that one joke where it was like referencing that show? You guys don't know what that show is. You didn't get it. I'm like, okay. And she's like, yeah, so this joke, it was like this show, but if it was for kindergartners, and that show was like really dark. It's like, so it's a dark show, right? Like, no, I get the joke.
Yeah.
Like, it's not funny.
No,
it's not funny.
Yeah.
Like I
understand.
She explained that it's a dark show, and I'm like, oh, that was it.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have laughed at that if I'd known what it was.
Literally. I also love how some of the people in the audience were definitely hated that movie too.
Yeah,
because they were like
a lot. Okay, this movie had a surprise Q&A with the director, like in front of us. Like she was just there.
Yeah,
and I would say at least 30 to 40% of the audience walked out at the end of the credits.
Oh, absolutely.
Fully knowing that she was about to speak.
Yeah. And then the people that did stay behind were like, so is this humor good where you come from? Like, it's not good here, but is it good there? Like, is this supposed to land?
One of the questions was like, so are there jokes that other people get? And she's like, oh yeah. And then they're like, were there jokes that we missed? And she was like, oh yeah, so many.
She's like, you missed all of them.
And then she explained the one about how it's like, yeah, this show was actually dark, and so it's funny because it's kindergarten.
Yeah,
it's
like literally.
Yeah. And then people were walking out in the middle of
they were just like, they heard what she was saying, and they were like,
I would say at least 15 people left while she was standing up there with a mic.
Yeah, there was like 25% of us left once we were really once it was over.
Yeah. And I kind of felt bad because she seemed nice.
She did seem nice.
And I don't know, I'm sure the Australians ate that shit up. Like, I don't know.
Maybe.
Like,
yeah. I haven't checked the like overall reviews of everything. Yeah. But yeah. So yeah, Audrey, not good.
Yikes. It's a yikes.
Not worth watching.
Yeah.
Not gonna lie.
Honestly, it was a cry for help.
Maybe if you're Australian, let us know if you liked it, because maybe it's just not American humor. Also, maybe no, I won't say that. Damn. I was gonna say invest in a therapist, but I realized that was really mean. I mean, it's true though. I feel like there might have been a little something over there. Okay. Anyway. Bye-bye. Bye.